Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Talking Snooker with Phil Haig and Nick Metcalf. Once again, talking about the game we all love.
We are indeed. The Snooker Roadshow rolls on. Players' Championship right now, edging closer and closer to Sheffield. But first things first, we've got a very special guest joining us this evening.
Very much so, Phil. Sheffield on the horizon. Telford taking centre stage this week for the Players' Championship. More of that to come later. But as you say, our priority for this episode is very much going to be our special guest, who has been a professional on and off now for more than a decade. And in the last two seasons, he's produced the best form of his career. Last season, he made his first maximum break on tour and enjoyed victories against a number of household names, including Jack Lazowski and Gary Wilson. And this season has seen further improvement, with his best ever tournament run coming at the recent World Open, where he reached the semi-finals and came within a whisker of beating John Higgins in the last four. He'll soon be battling it out a World Championship qualifying in an attempt to make it to the Crucible. And we are delighted that he joins us on the podcast to talk about his career and hopes for the future. Zak Surety is with us on Talking Snooker. Zak, it's great to see you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. And the pronouncing of my surname was bang on then. I was very impressed.
And no way did I check with you before how to do that.
Absolutely not. No, that never happened.
That definitely didn't happen.
No, not at all.
No. I'll take that to court if anyone suggests that did.
I'll back you up.
Two rogues together, I can see it. Now,
yeah.
A few weeks on from the World Open, we're going to ask you first, Zak, how do you now reflect on what was your best ever run?
I'm still not over it, to be honest. It's such a weird feeling. It's like listening to your intro then. I'm like, I'm back in that seat at 5-3 up. Like sort of pinching myself still, like looking around the room thinking, am I really here? And I mean, although it was a magical week and I'm delighted how it went and it was incredible, I just can't stop thinking of, obviously you got the two chances in the deciding frame, which are like haunting me whenever anyone keeps coming up to me and talking to me about it. Oh, what happened there? What happened on that round? The green you played on. And I'm like, as annoying as they are, especially like the red in the middle after John misses from my initial miss, what haunts me the most is the chance at 5-3. Because although like I spoke to Phil before, like, he knows what I'm like. I'm a bit negative sometimes. And I was just, for once, starting to feel a little bit positive, thinking, you know what, things are actually working out here. And all the cameramen like assembled around. When I got to like 30 on this break, you notice you got like the camera set up, you got the camera booths, and they all like filled up, obviously ready for like my big moment. And I thought, I'm going to win this. I remember playing the two pinks, the long pinks, and it's the safety shot I play at 53 up, which is like I'm waking up most nights thinking there was a red I could have played for. I still think the shot I played wasn't the worst choice, but and then obviously John stepped in and cleared up, and then after that I'm just I was gone. I was away.
But it sounds like you weren't gone then. It sounds like you were feeling very positive at the right time then. So it
I was
wasn't a
feeling
case of
positive, but the minute I saw I made the mistake to allow him in, that's when I was a bit I got worried. But as we were saying, the whole week was incredible. Like I never thought going out there I'd produce what I produced. I know it was there. I know like it's I wouldn't say it's been coming because I haven't done it ever, but I know my game is there. But the fact that it all sort of strung together, and I still throughout the rounds I wasn't really believing it was going to happen. It was just round by round. I was sort of finding myself too at the interval despite playing well, and then just sort of taking off a bit second half of the match and just got on a bit of a roll. And it's the kind of roll we've been waiting for the last 10 years.
I mean, this is exactly the situation that comes up on this podcast quite a lot when I'm talking about people who've gone on their best runs and they still go away feeling like it's stinging, even though it's the best thing that's happened in 10 years, like you said. So
Yeah.
it must be such a funny balance,
It's a
persuading
funny
yourself.
balance. I said,
Not even persuading yourself that it's good because it was good, but trying to silence those negative voices.
it's just how the match goes. If John, I mean, everyone keeps saying, "Oh, I like it." The match itself, I don't think was the best standard. Like John, probably be the first to say he was far from his best. And if I played anything like how I did throughout the week, but it's easy to say, isn't it? Because I'm playing in my first semi-final. There's so much different things going on rather than just a game of snooker. It's how you're dealing with the occasion. It's like, I mean, I was nervous enough coming out to my own walk-on music, let alone the snooker. So it was it was a mad sort of situation. But if he came out and beat me 6-2, played really well, you go, you know what, great week, unlucky. But the fact that I had it there, like it was there for me. I'm thinking like, oh no, what have I done? And it is the thoughts that go through your head and they're mad. Because at 5-3, he's clearing up. I'm starting to tell myself, although I'm hoping this is wrong, I'm hoping it's the start of many things to come. You're thinking, oh, I might never get a chance like this ever again. You think, no, be quiet. You know that voice in your head. You go, no, you will. This is the start. This is all good. Oh, but you might not. You're 5-3 up. You've got John Higgins on the ropes here. You can get a ranking final. Or and it's I'm not no disrespect to other tournaments, but the China ones, they're big ones, aren't they? So
Yeah.
It's a proper chance I found myself. But yeah, on reflection, brilliant week.
Yeah. And where do you think it did come from? Because you looked superb all the way through. You're scoring so heavily. You weren't. I know some of them were close matches, but you weren't scraping through. You were looking
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah. No, I'm not too sure to be honest. I think I scored. I think I equal amount of centuries, like top leading the centuries throughout the week. Like breaks over 50. Like my safety was all right. I don't know. It's been coming. Like it's how I play in practice on a daily basis. But I'm not really sure how it clicked. I prepared a little bit different. I took a friend out.
Yep.
Like he came over to China with me. My manager, sort of like Jason Pegram from the club. So he sort of held me hand over there and sort of made me feel like a snooker player rather than me sort of hiding in a hotel room, which can only help the way I sort of approached the matches. Like, it felt like we were there on business rather than sort of just trying to go in and see what happens. So that definitely helps.
Makes sense.
I've just been watching a bit of an interview with Jason. Actually, he's not a shrinking violet, is he? He's a pretty strong character. Good man to have in your corner, I imagine.
Yeah, no, he's the best. He's helped me massively over the last few years since getting involved with his club. Because I was, as much as I was trying, I was based at home, and I was just going to fade away. I think I didn't really have a hope. But he sort of, when I fell off, when would it? I think it was, when did I get back on? I got back on through COVID year, and that's when I first got involved, and I was falling off. And that's when I got involved with his club. And he just said to me, "When if you get through Q school, base yourself here." And since then, he's like my dad now. He's like my best mate, and the whole club look out for me amazingly, and it's changed my life.
This is JP's in Harlow, isn't it? We're going to talk about it later, but we do sort of switch around a bit naturally as conversations go. I know that's been really big for you, and I think we will return to that. But I just want to specifically go on the World Open. Did John Higgins say anything to you directly after, or maybe he saw you later on?
Not afterwards. I've seen bits of his interview after, and he spoke highly of me, which was lovely to hear. He didn't say anything afterwards, but he did mention his interview. What can you say? He said he's been in that position. He knew I'd be in bits. So I shook his hand. I wished him well. And obviously he said lovely things to me in the interview. So that makes you feel good as well. He's a legend, isn't he? And he says he's praising you. You got to, obviously it's still settling down, but when you look back at that, you think that's bigger than getting to a semi-final if you're getting praised by John Higgins.
A great way of saying it. So, I mean, you were making history throughout, weren't you? Personal history. You got the quarters, that was further. Then what was it? I think you beat Tom Ford, didn't you, at that stage? You're getting into the semis. It's sort of, you're just going stages further than you've ever been. So how were you dealing with the sort of pressure of that and the extra expectation, which you've never had before?
It was mad, really, because I mean, I said to World Snooker when I was over there, I'm like, I've got a weird relationship with these China comps. It helped having like Jason with me, but I kind of was using it as like a coping way. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't want to go home. I was there on business. I'm there. I'm a snooker player. I'm there to win. But every day I'm thinking, if I get beat here, I'm out of here. I'm going home, back to normal life. Like, I'm trying to use it as like a coping mechanism in a way, sort of. And I know it sounds wrong. It sounds a bit negative. But then as the rounds progressed, and I started to like build momentum, started to enjoy myself a bit more. I think, like thinking, okay, I could actually do something here. Every match I was going into, especially when I got to like the last 16, because that's the only second time I've been to the last 16. I think, well, likelihood is today's the day I get beat. I go home, no, play well, quarter, and then the last few days was a bit like that. And I think in a way, it might have relaxed me a little bit. I'm not sure because the match with Tom, like it's my first quarter final. I was thinking I should be. Don't I did get nervous throughout the game. It's the usual faults, but I felt okay in the lead up, considering it's possibly the biggest match I've ever played in. On the TV, well, table two, so it was TV set up. I hadn't had that all week. I think I went in first frame 1-3-3. And I remember the first 20, 30 points being a bit edgy, but I settled in and I felt okay. And I surprised myself how nicely I felt. So, yeah, no, it's a weird way of dealing with things, I suppose, but I was trying to think of home comforts.
Exactly, and you kind of led me on to the point. I was reading during the week that you love your home. That comes over with you time and time again. You love home life. You don't find travelling the easiest thing in the world. And you were thinking about, I think, walks with the dog and going running and being in the woods
Yeah.
and seeing your
Yeah.
mum and all those
Yeah.
kind of things.
Yeah.
So you got that weird dichotomy on the other side of the world playing a big sporting event, and you're thinking about home. It's a funny one, I imagine, to sort of deal with and to live with.
I kind of hate myself for feeling like that because I'm obviously playing snooker is what I want to do. I'm just waiting to sort of escape the pressure of it.
That makes sense, actually. Yeah, sorry, I was going to go back to Phil, but one more for me. I mean, we want to come on to this a little bit later, but you find it a bit easier now, don't you, the travelling than you did? I think it's fair to say you're getting used to it a bit more, or is it just as bad?
Honest truth,
yeah.
I really do struggle with it. The travelling, it's not so much the travelling; it's just the being away bit. That's why it helps being on my own. Obviously, again, I go back to Jason. He's travelled with me all season. Like it helps having people wrapped around me because when I'm on my own, I go a bit nuts.
Yeah, we've spoken about it a few times before, haven't we, Zach? And
yeah,
it's because I think you've told me about it before. Just going, it can hit you hard just going to somewhere like Leicester as much as it could have been China. So it's not getting on the plane so much or anything. It's just being out of your comfort zone. I guess that's the crux of it.
Yeah, no, I mean like well, I've had a few bad ones this season. We spoke, didn't we? I pulled out of a China event, the UK Championship. There's about 3 or 4 events I probably shouldn't have even gone to, but you got to go. But I said there was one I didn't make. I don't want to go full doom and gloom during our podcast, but sometimes it's a bit tough. But yeah, it's not so much the travelling. I'd never really liked flying, but I get on with it now. It don't like. It's not that. It's just the whole package. It's the thought of being in a hotel room the other side of the world, thinking about playing a game of snooker the next day. Sometimes isn't my top of my agenda, even though that sounds bad because it should be because it's my life and I love it.
Yeah, I don't know if you've found like ways of dealing with matches. So I remember when we first spoke when you came back on through Q School. So that was a couple of years ago, I think 22 or 23 maybe.
Yeah.
And I think you were thinking about just knocking it on the head completely because you were finding matches so difficult sometimes.
Yeah. No, I remember that interview. I wasn't going to enter that Q School. I remember the pros got a what's it like an extra day or two? What's they called? The relegated professionals. And I remember laying in my bedroom that morning going, well, there's no way I'm going to play. And I don't know what I was going to do because I've always played snooker. Like it was the only thing I was ever going to do. But I was so beat up about it. The thought of even putting myself through Q School again, I just couldn't face it. It was only my mum. I remember sitting in where I am now. My mum and my brother come in, and my brother sort of went, "What are you doing? Like, what else are you going to do?" And obviously, I was just starting to get involved with the club, who sort of told me, "If you're going to like get through Q School, base yourself there." And I just thought, the main thing, it sounds like I knew I was seeded, so I had to play like a less match. I thought, well, if I'm ever going to get back through, this might be a chance because they changed I thought I've got to do it. And I did it and I got through and the rest is sort of history. But yeah, things have changed because I've got a good setup around me, but I still do struggle a lot more than people think. I think how many I think's are going to put in that sentence, but yeah.
Would something like that have given, I mean, Q School's so hard. That must have given you a big boost of confidence to at least prove that you are, that's where you belong. On the tour, that is not Q School.
You'd think, wouldn't you? Yeah, no, I know. I was thinking this the other day. I've been away from the amateur scene for a while now, but I mean, like, I'm never confident. I know it sounds horrible. I'm a nightmare. I am a nightmare.
I think this is such a clear illustration of how little people know about snooker players and what they're going through and how hard the game is. Like you're a super talented snooker player, as anyone on tour is, but what people go through in their heads or away from the table or anything is such a huge percentage of why people win or lose matches.
Yeah, that's what I mean. On a daily basis, you've got to be tuning yourself up to be a winner. And I don't think I try my hardest to do that, but I don't. I convince myself all week that the worst case scenario, and this isn't just snooker, this could be anything. Like, again, I always go back to Jason. We're clashing now because of it. He's my best, but I can feel he comes to tournaments. He's like, God, what like version of Zak are we going to get today? Am I going to get you sitting in your seat with your head in your hands, worrying about where the car's going to be parked, or are you going to turn up and do what we're working on? And you can tell on occasion he's like thinking, I can see it when we're driving home. He's thinking, like, what am I doing? But there's other times where I'll walk in and I beat Gary Wilson or CJ a week before Christmas, and we're in the car and he's thinking, how have you just done that? And I go, don't know. And it's just the ups and downs of snooker and life, what I think I'm still struggling to get my head around.
That makes a lot of sense. Just one thing, I feel like we were quite remiss. If you see us do the odd thumbs up, by the way, that's just a cue to each other that me and Phil do. Rather than
you do it, Nick.
I know
I've done wrong here. I could moving my iPad around too much.
I could tell. We caught eyes. That's why I've said it. Should have told you before. It's simply a cue, nothing to do with you. So, in the nicest possible way, sir. So don't worry about that. But listen, I want to ask you again a bit about this, Zak. We'll go down memory lane in a moment with you, but I'm really interested with the stuff you're saying about some of the struggles you might have during matches. We've heard so many times on this podcast from players that say they want the other guy when they're not feeling at their best and maybe a long way from their best. They want the other guy to stay at the table potting balls. I mean, that's quite incredible that they want them to almost put you out of your misery. And we've heard that. And I've seen you say that in interviews to Phil. You actually feel that, don't you? You think, I don't care. I might lose. I want you to carry on potting.
Well, you do. Yeah, absolutely. It sounds horrible, but you want it to you want to limit the damage on yourself. You want them to play as well as possible, so you don't have to keep going to the table and putting yourself through that. And I can probably go one better. I can be sitting in a hotel thinking to myself, I'm so not with it today. This is before I'm even out there thinking, cool, I wish they play well today. And that sounds horrible, but that's how sometimes I'm thinking. I don't want to go in there so much today. But that's a bit. You go in there, things can happen. You're competitive. You click in the gear. It might, but that's the mindset before you be thinking, oh, I really don't want to go out and make myself feel like how I know I'm going to feel tonight. Wouldn't it be all right if he just played really well, so I wouldn't have to do it? And I know that sounds completely nuts. And there's been matches I've probably thought like that, and I've gone in and played okay. But that that negative, that voice in your head, you're thinking, oh God, how can I limit the damage of how badly I'm going to feel this evening? Oh, it might be handy if he plays really good.
Yeah, no, it's something. Do you talk to other pros about this that may have had similar?
I have done. I'm like, obviously, I've practiced with higher profile professionals. I've spoke to them about it, and it's always good because they sort of all go through the same thing. But obviously, it's the way you cope with it, the way you approach the game, everything's. It's like I've known Stuart Bingham for years, and I've talked to him about it, and he's sort of like, it's so different. You can relate to certain little things, how he would go through. I interview always. I know it's different, but the way he felt going out to the last session when he won the world title, I remember him saying he was like in the shower and he literally froze. And I think his wife had to he was always going to go out there, weren't he? He was winning and I haven't felt that pressure what he was under that night. But he says that I didn't want to go out and play. I'm thinking, bloody, imagine if I was in that position. Like when you're in there, or okay, but World Championship, it's like different sessions, isn't it? So you got like a night to sleep on it. I'm thinking, forget getting in a world final. That don't sound much fun.
I remember Stuart telling me that very story. I think it was at Quandon Park, and I went to see him, and he said, "Yeah, I did about an hour, bit more maybe before. I don't want to go out there, And he suddenly struck him because he was a few frames ahead, wasn't he? So close to world glory. It's amazing what these, what you guys go through. And as Phil Haig rightly says, the stuff we don't see is often more fascinating, not just as the stuff we do see. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more about this actually later, but maybe let's go back to the start for you, if that's okay, and just ask a little bit about your sort of background and who was the one that introduced you to the game? How did you get into it?
I think it's the same story as what most players would be. It would be my father. He loves the game. He's never really been a player. He plays his pool. He was more of a armchair commentator during the World Championships. That's his role.
I can't stand armchair commentators, Phil.
Oh yeah, no,
they're the worst.
Still to this day, it's like, how did you play? Oh, I had a 147. It's not that good. I won my match at pool Tuesday night, and I'm like, okay. He compares my performances on the World Snooker Tour to the Basildon District Tuesday night pool league, which is obviously the highest standard of pool in the world. But yeah, he's at home tomorrow night. He's let me know who he's playing, and it's nothing on John Higgins in the World Open semi. But he's he got me playing. He got me. He knew I was a bit obsessed as a baby. Apparently, I was glued to the telly whenever snooker came on, and yeah, we had a indoors. We had it's like an American pool size snooker. It's now our living room. My bedroom's our old living room. The snooker table was which was our living room. American pool size table, slate bed, snooker table. And I mean, I was potting balls on that as soon as I could stand. So I went from there.
And who were you most entranced by? Ronnie? Would it have been Ronnie watching on telly?
Always Ronnie. Yeah, we're always running around the table thinking of Ronnie, weren't we? I think everyone is.
Yeah, I guess so.
And then when did that start becoming competitive, and when did you start thinking, oh, this could be a job for me to do?
Well, this is another weird thing. I never had much of a junior career, mainly because we just didn't really know what we were doing. It's like I'm obviously the same sort of age group as players. Well, you'd say people like Trump, Lizowski. I didn't do all like the Premier development tours, anything like that. I sort of got involved. I think my parents were they wanted me to have like a bit of a normal childhood as well. I think that was part of it. But we just didn't really know what we were doing. So I got involved with local leagues when I was like 10, 11, 12, pro-ams, stuff like that, but never had any sort of stepping stones, no. And then, yeah, pro-ams got them. And there was a few, the Prestaton Open series. Obviously, I knew Stuart. He sort of pulled us in the right direction. And then by then, when I was like 16, 17, that's when the PTCs and Q School come along. And then, yeah, since then, I've been driving around, flying around, trying to do something.
So where did you meet Stuart from originally?
Stuart would have been up Basildon Snooker Club when I was like 7 or 8. He was like the professional, just plotted up in the corner. And then he moved. There was another club in Basildon where he moved, and we all followed him down there. And he was obviously the man in the middle, the main man. And every day he just watched him pull up in his flash car thinking, wow, I want to be like that.
So then if you were going without the sort of building blocks, like you say, was it quite a huge leap, did you find, when you were trying to do the Roots Onto tour?
Well, it was, but I mean, I remember playing a Open series in Prestaton when I was obviously a bit unknown, and I was playing all these lads who now they're probably in and around the tour. I remember I beat David Grace in one of them. And it was one of my first proper tournaments. So obviously someone like Dave would have probably been on the tour. What did they have, the Pios back then? And I remember these people looking at me thinking, who is he? And it was like one of them where I was like, I remember it was mad because you'd go through the draw wearing a polo shirt. And I remember getting to a quarter final. And obviously I had my Mataland waistcoat on, which I took as an emergency just in case I had to flick it on if you got to the quarter final stage. And I remember it just being like alien to me. Like I couldn't put a ball. And then when you get to the semis, you got to put a bow tie on. I was in loads of trouble. Like I didn't have a chance. But but yeah, the stepping stones. It was I did Q School, but it was one of them, wasn't it? I remember I don't know if they still use the slogan now, and it passport to the big time. And you pay your money, and you just think that within 2 weeks you're going to be a professional. But I had no sort of background, no sort of what's the word, like I was never going to get there. And we were doing it. We were driving up and down on the day to Sheffield and stuff to just sort of save hotel fees. And I mean, that's like a 3-hour drive for me. So we were never going to get through it. But it was like we were doing that, like the learning on the job in a way.
Yeah. So how long was this before then you actually did get on tour?
Fairly quick considering how poorly I was doing it. I think I got on 2014. So when was the first Q School? 2011?
Right, yeah.
Something like that. Might be a little bit earlier. And I remember the year before I lost in the final round. That's when I think I was driving myself. I sort of started leaving the dad at home. And then I got on in 2014. But no, I didn't get through Q School the first time I got. I got through the playoffs at the top.
EBSA Amateur Cup playoffs I've got
That's
here.
the one. Yeah,
That sound right?
the one. That's the one. Yeah. But again, I did that sort of not half-heartedly, but I didn't enter all the events. I remember you had to play like 4 amateur cups throughout. I think I might have played 3. I think I missed the German one because I remember we went to the PTC in Belgium, and I got through one of them. So then I qualified for the playoffs and got through that way. So I dodged the dreaded Q School for that year.
Yeah. And then I actually had a look at the first few opponents you had, and over that whole first season, I mean, did it feel like being chucked in at the deep end there? Because there really aren't any easy games once you're in the big time.
Yeah, it is, but it was a little bit different then because we had the PTCs. So it's weird because although I remember I did awfully, I did hardly win a match, but especially on the second season, you always felt half involved. Like now, if you're having a really poor season, I know you always think deep down, I could have that one event where I reach a quarters or a semis and it moves me up the 1 year list. But I think with the PTCs involved, you always felt you had a sniff because if you got to like the last 3 best of sevens in day, the last 16, you'd get in the spots, wouldn't you, to keep your tour card. That was like the 1 year list back then. So I think it always gave you a bit of like belief that you were still sort of involved in the tour, even despite not winning a match in a ranking event.
Makes a lot of sense. Phil said you'd be funny. That's the understatement of the year. You're one of the funniest guests we've ever had on there. And we got to say, it's a delight to have you on. And we maybe should have a bit of a podcast name check, Phil, and say you are listening here to Talking Snooker with Phil Hagan, Nick Metcalf, and our special guest, Zak Surety.
Perfectly pronounced again.
This is brilliant, Phil. I couldn't be doing better. Look at me. For our YouTube listeners, this is...
We're a surety specialist.
Beaming.
Totally beaming, that's right. You fell off the tour, didn't you, after a couple of years. What did you do after that? Anything else within you? Obviously, you were still playing snooker, just not on tour. You were still playing in matches. What else did you fill your time doing?
Nothing really. I got really good at playing FIFA on my Xbox. Took West Ham to the Champions League final a few times. That's about it.
That's realistic.
Well, that just shows you how much time I spent on my Xbox. No, nothing really. I sort of like you fall off, you go to do your Q School, you have a month moping about, and then you sulk a bit, and then you think, oh, I'm going to do it this year. You try and apply yourself, and I did. I was probably it's like I lost my 20s in a way. When I fell off when I was 24, and you just sort of, you go in a horrible cycle of events where you want to be a snooker player, but you're not sure. Didn't really dive into doing anything else, obviously, apart from me career modes on FIFA. And then, just you start winning the odd pro-am turn of the year. I think I'm going to get involved. I think the Challenge Tour was just on the up then. I'll play a few of them, get me name back in the pit, ready for Q School, go to Q School, have a bit of a meltdown, hate every minute of it, and it starts again. And I found myself in that cycle for about 4 years. But I say my life was different then. I was set up at home. I was just going around in circles. If I wanted a game, I had to get out and try and play. Obviously, you got to get out and play people, but I didn't have the connections I have now. I always had Stuart, obviously, but obviously he was worlds away from me because he was top 8, weren't he? He was world champion, and I was miles off it.
I mean, just on a pure Stuart Bingham thing, I find Stuart a quite remarkable character in the sense that his first half of his career did very well. Second half's been extraordinary. I mean, what was it like for you personally when he won that world title in 15? Must have been sort of magic, wasn't it, to see it?
It was mad. I remember watching the semi-final with my head in my hands. And I couldn't believe what was going on. But yeah, it was amazing, really, for him, wasn't it? It was just, I remember the plant in the semi. I watched it the other day. The plant he plays.
Yeah, because they were repeating it because they played in the semi just gone. So they had quite a lot of videos of that. What a plant.
Yeah, and I still can't, he makes it look so easy, but as he's lining up still to this day, I'm looking at it going, no. And I remember Fidesz, he's lining up going, no. And you still watch it because it don't look like the shot to nothing's on. Because you think the other red's going to bounce off the cushion. But if he missed them, he knew what he was doing. It was meant to be, weren't it? But I mean, I watch him lining up going, no, don't do it.
I know what you mean. Even when you see videos, you think that one day it's going to miss that.
Yeah.
What were you ever in any doubts thinking because obviously the results hadn't really gone your way early on tour. You fall off. Were there any doubts that you were going to be a pro and sort of stay on? Were you thinking about other things in life, or no? Were you always fixed on snooker?
Well, you're still, I'm still 100% fixed on snooker, and there's still nothing else in the pipeline if snooker was to go wrong. But I still don't feel I'm obviously far from an established pro, although I've stayed on and I'm obviously in a good position now. But you're always looking over your shoulder. This is my problem. Again, I know we keep going back on it, but you're always worried about, oh God, if I don't win this one, oh, where am I going to end up next year? Or what am I going to do if I fall off? And it's all about trying to stop that voice telling you that and try and move on. And because you're never going to get anywhere worrying about things like that, are you?
I wonder if you know when those sort of feelings started. Like when you were playing as a kid, just enjoying it. I assume you were having those sort of worries. Is it this? Is it being on tour, going on and off tour? Is that what brought those worries in originally?
Really sure. As I say, it's beyond snooker the way I feel about some of these things. But I mean, it's just hard, isn't it? It is hard. It's you've got to stay on top of things because everything you get, it could quickly get taken away from you. And it's down to you how you apply yourself. Like I've sat in my seat at times, and there's absolutely no. Obviously, I want to win every match I play in, but there's ways I behave in there when I'm flying like I'm gone. You literally have no chance of getting the result you've worked so hard for by doing or feeling how you are feeling. And it's about managing those faults, which some days it's easier than others.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you said you spoke to some of the players about it. Have you spoke to some players and they're just like they don't have a clue what you're talking about?
Now, I've obviously dig around every player. Like we go for lunch, I like to hear their opinion. Some of them are like more open, others are like machines. You can tell they don't want to give anything away.
Yeah.
But which is right because it's what we're in. Like I use Neil Robertson for an example. Like I practiced with him quite a lot leading up to the World Championships last year before he ruined my dreams and beat me in the third qualifying round. But we played we played most weeks leading up to that for probably about 3 or 4 months, I think. Well, I don't know. Well, not that much, but we did. We played a fair bit. And sometimes, like I remember, I got to the final qualifying round of the UK Championship, and he texted me. I played him just before the qualifiers, and I think I won like 2 frames against him all day. It was horrible. I had a really horrible day out, and he texted me saying, "Oh, picking all them balls out the other day weren't that bad for you, then, was it?" And I think I beat Gary Wilson. I had a proper horrible, like it was a real bad match. And Gary weren't great. I went great, and I went through the ringer. And I remember just saying to Neil, "Oh, yeah, I'm happy with the win, but any sort of advice how to like feel a bit better in my seat?" Just thinking he'd come up with something, and he just gave me nothing. So I went, "Good luck in the next round." I was like, I was thinking, I thought we had a bit of a bond here. I thought we'd help us out. But then other players, they're like, they give you a nice bit of advice and like things to think about. But yeah.
Is it, how would you? I mean, we've spoke about those practice sessions with Neil before. I mean, some people say I've heard people say before, "Oh, there's nothing better for you in practice than picking balls out." And I've never quite got my head around why, but I guess it must be just watching someone up and close of that standard can't hurt, and I guess you're picking little things up from
I
them.
think you obviously are trying your hardest to pick things up, but I mean, you're sort of beyond doing that now because I'm always learning. You're always going to learn, especially from people like him. But what does me the most is going to these players. It's just seeing how they are around the table and how they are on like a daily basis. He's like Neil's different class because you watch him on telly and he looks like it's like he's not human. But then you get to know him on a personal level and he's brilliant. He's so like carefree and just so like we went for lunch and he just sort of vanishes out the fire exit without even saying anything. Strolls down Cambridge High Street and he's in Tesco before I've even left his club. And I'm thinking, oh, shall I buy him lunch? He's invited me down to practice for a day. Before I've even thought that, he's in and he's eating. And then he's all right, back frame. Yeah, how's you? And then he's on talking about something else. And I'm like, he's just such a nice, normal guy. But you see him on the telly and he's like this ultra focused snooker playing machine. But just seeing how he is and how he goes about just turning up to the club, talking to the bloke behind the bar, preparing his table. It's just it just makes you it just fascinates me, considering how brilliant he is.
And So so that must have been the last year or so, hasn't it? Because and I think that's not saying that that is the only reason, but that and the club and everything's come together. Because last season was at the time your best season so far.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the club the main thing? Or was it a number of different things coming together?
Oh no, it's all the club.
Yeah.
It's just getting involved with. Obviously, I mentioned Jason again. He's a proper snooker man. He's well, I say we're like best friends now. He takes me. He's back on. He was a pro himself years ago. He so he loves coming to all the events. He knows all like the players from his time playing. So obviously, as well, he's got good connections. He's got me obviously connected with people like Joe Perry, Ali Card, Neil Robertson. So I've got like these guys now to sort of call upon if I want to practice, and you can't get better practice than that. And obviously, they come to me. Obviously, I'm involved in the club, so I'm surrounded by people every day. I didn't have that before. Obviously, we spoke about a few of my like social issues in the past, so that sort of gone out the window a little bit because I'm surrounded by loads of people every day. I'm talking to people. So, and obviously, I'm practicing in there. I'm traveling there as well. So, I'm just surrounded by good people on a daily basis who believe in me. They're all close friends of mine now, and it's a very tight family club. And I wake up every morning. And I love going there rather than thinking, oh God, I'm going to have to go up the garden today and see how many balls I can put in a row. It's a different world. So, and they make really nice omelets. So,
Brilliant.
so yeah, I have to mention Andrea, Jason's wife. She feeds me well.
Superb.
And yeah, so I love every day there, and I've got people to practice with, and yeah, it's different class. And when I go to a tournament, I'm well supported. Even bloke from the club called Paul, he flew out to China to watch me. Like, how amazing is that? I would never have had anything like that if I didn't have the club. So I'm backed by the best people ever.
And I think that is a big thing about not even you don't need to be like talking about what you're going through all the time and stuff. But I know Mark Selby's spoken about this before when he felt like he was struggling with the things that he goes through. His natural reaction is to shut himself away and not talk to anyone. And he'd found and been told and learned that you got to do the opposite and get out there and be around people. And that sounds like the same sort of thing that you've learned.
Yeah, exactly the same. I mean, there's times where I've like had a bit of a blow up, and I generally feel embarrassed going in there because they've obviously they've watched me. You have to build up to the tournament. Oh, how many 147s you had this? Oh, you're going to win this one. Surely this is your time. They watch me. They'll gather in the club live stream projector on, and they watch me head in hands. And then I've got to think, oh God, and I've got to try and think of these people when I'm in there because they're like me. They're all my family now, and I'm walking in there on a Monday morning after Thursday doing that. So it drives you to sort of keep your head, do it for not. I'm always doing it for me. You got to do it for me, but I'm doing it for all them as well because I said they've put a lot of love into me.
Makes a lot of sense. Funny, I mentioned it before in here. I did speak to Stuart, and I remember we talked quite a lot about you. I think it was when you played each other in the UK, which was during COVID. And I look at some of the quotes here. He said, he's done well to get back on tour. I'm happy for him. He's very raw, still said very, very talented.
He uses that word when he talks about me. I don't like it.
Oh, okay. Well, this was 5 years ago, in fairness.
Yeah, no, but he would come to the club tomorrow and he'll still use that word.
Right. Why would he say that?
I think it's down to my cue ball control. I like to think it's a lot better now, but I think it's like he's always said I'm a brilliant potter and I pop myself out of trouble.
He says that, pot him off the lampshade.
Don't have much of an idea about the rest of it. I think that's where he's coming from. So whenever I play him now, I'm like, I'll be really tight today. Otherwise, Stu's going to call me raw.
Okay, I feel like I pressed on a bit of a stool there, but that's all.
No, you press me buttons. I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Oh dear, it's all good stuff. But
I'm going to text him right now.
That was supposed to be quite a good news story. He does say you knocked them in off the lampshades, and yeah, he does say you need to tighten up a little bit in your safety. Yeah, I shouldn't have gone there, should I? You can never mind. It was a lovely interview at the time, and you did play each other in the UK. And one thing I wanted to ask about, I know we're flitting about a bit, but of course, when you got back on tour, it couldn't have been a funnier time with COVID. I mean, did that kind of settle you down a bit in a way that you didn't have to worry about crowds, or was it sort of know you're a social guy, bit of a bloody nightmare?
Honestly, it sounds dreadful, but I loved COVID. Like that time, it sorted me out proper. I mean, it got me back on tour. I got in. I was never really the unfittest of blokes, but I got myself proper in shape during COVID. I think I lost about 2.5 stone. I was doing hit workouts in my snooker room. I was running about 4 or 5 miles. I still run every day now, near enough, like from that. But I mean, and whenever obviously I've got my table indoors, I played a lot of snooker. So obviously when the Q school come about during COVID, I don't think anyone apart from the relegated pros were half match sharp, but I had as good chance as anyone because I've been playing. But then, yeah, during the actual tour, I mean, again, it comes down to me not really liking the travel as much, but the whole tour was like based in Milton Keynes, which was like hour 15 from me.
Of course.
So although it was a bit samey and everything was a bit odd, I didn't really stay up there a lot. I was wrongly again, like I mean, I should have done. I would now, but I was driving. I was having that match against Stu in the UK Championship. I remember that being a 9:30, might have even been a 9 a.m. start, and we had to drive up the day before for the COVID test. And I remember having the COVID test with Stu. I walked in and then walked out, and I remember Matt Selt was there, and he was like, "Are you driving home?" And I was like, well, "Yeah." And I remember him saying he's driving home, but I think he planned on driving back that evening. And I was like, "No, I'll be coming up in the morning." And him looking at me like, "You are the biggest idiot ever because you're playing in the UK tomorrow for 6.5 grand." And I remember thinking, "There's no way I'm staying up there in a hotel room on my own when I'm an hour 15 minutes down the road." But how stupid's that? Like, talk about giving yourself you got to give yourself a chance, you know, like put yourself up in the nice hotel room. But again,
some people like their own bed, don't they? That's the thing.
I know, yeah.
You're one of those.
Me a little bit too much, I think.
I want to ask you about a couple more quite big things. You're 147. I had a look at it earlier, and the great thing about it is, I mean, a lot of players don't exactly show histrionics, but you look so relieved at the end. You're like, puff of the
one of my, I always say this to much. One of my biggest regrets as a snooker player is leaving that arena that evening after I made that break, because it was mad in there. Like, I'm still to this day searching for some of the fan footage, because I mean, there's so many people in there. Every one of them had their phone out, and I'd love to get hold of one of the phone footage from the crowd to show how busy how loud it was in there when I was on the colours, because it doesn't look on the telly like it was that well attended. But there were so many people in all screaming.
It does come over. It does come over as noisy though, because I saw it today, and I mean, it's on telly, never quite the same as being there, obviously, but you can hear that noise. I think.
Yeah, no, it was mad. And I don't know, it's like I've got a weird connection now with you, Shan, haven't I? I mean, I go over there and I turn into the real me. But it was it's just as I make, obviously I'm out because I'm absolutely flying. I remember I've gone walking down the tunnel, and the arena's funny because all the stands are above the tables, like you sort of look down on the tables. So I've tried to get in, I've had a bit of a moment as I'm walking down the tunnel, and I've nearly burst into tears thinking, what the hell have I just done there? I've just made a 147 with Ding Junhui. And I was walking back in, and I've obviously left because I've still got a match to win. Like, I mean, I'm in a position in the rankings there where that 5 grand for that match, I'm fighting in points for that 1 year list. Everything I had to get out of there. But watching it back, I just wish I don't know, gave it the fist pump and just sat into my chair and just sort of took it in a bit and enjoyed the moment a bit. Obviously, I did the right thing to try and calm myself ready for the next frame, but I had no chance. I remember coming in the next frame, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even stand up.
So what was it it's probably hard to replicate exactly what you thought in those moments, but was it just like, you almost took the professional angle and just didn't want to sort of go mad in front of everyone? Or
I think looking back, I can't even remember. That's how bonkers it is, because I remember everything. Snooker, I can tell you the red I played badly in the 2014 China Open last 16, 7th frame. I'm a nightmare. But that break is not me. I look at it on the telly and I'm like, obviously I remember it, but there's bits of it I'm thinking it's just something on the TV, like any other player. It's not me. And I think I just walk out that night. You see, I give like the puff of the cheeks. I think it's just to style it out, like, yeah, that was good, but I'm not that bothered. That kind of attitude, when really I'm like, my heart rate's probably about 230 beats. Everything was moving. I think that's all I was doing. I'm thinking, all right, yeah, let's walk out now because this is what we do. I'm a snooker player.
Wow, that's brilliant. The other thing I really want to ask you about is going to see Steve Davis. I mean, it seems like that was a pretty productive meeting for you. I know you met with Steve.
Yeah.
What sort of things did he tell you about? I think
Oh, yeah,
obviously
that was
about
that was
on
a
and off the
mad.
table.
That was incredible, to be fair, because Jason, again, I know I keep bigging him up and he'll love it. He got me in touch with him. Or, well, he did all the things. He went during the World Cup. I forgot what year it was. It was after my first season. What would it be? It'll be coming up 2 years. I was really trying. I've just lost to who was it? Juice C in the World qualifiers. And I did. I mean, I was disgraced. I had a proper meltdown. I won my first game. I played. I was head in hands. Session one. It was horrible, and I proper let myself down. And it was during the actual Crucible. Jason, I've got a meeting here with Steve. Like, let's go up and see what he has to say. We met him in a coffee shop. And honestly, I remember I don't know what it's a coffee shop just around the corner of the Crucible. And we're walking in there, and I kid you not, it was like he was glowing. It was in the corner, it was like he was God was in the corner himself. It was Steve Davis. And we've sat down. We've took another young lad at the time who was playing at the club. He sort of plotted himself up as well. We had a coffee and he was incredible. Like I was thinking, part of me is thinking he didn't really want to do it because why would he? Like, I feel like he was just being polite to Jason, who he knows. We turned up and he had a little pad of notes. He'd prepared for our meeting. And I'm looking at it now. I've just recently redecorated all my bedroom. And one of the only things I've kept, he told me that day, there's a screenshot of me head in hands sitting at the table when Zhu C's about to go 7-2 up me during the first session. And he said, print that off. It's probably not as big as he wanted it, but I've printed it off. It's an A3 size. It's just over there next to me. Alexa, I won't say her name too loud or she'll start singing.
From Alibaba.com.
She heard that. Alexa, off. But yeah, he printed it off, and he said, whenever you go to whenever you go to a match, have a look at that. Just remind yourself how bad you felt that day. And I mean, I should look at it more, but it survives. It's sitting there. It's on my bedroom wall, and just things like that. Like he was telling me, like breathing. He gave me a book to read about like the breathing techniques and what he was sort of going through when. I think towards like the tail end of his career when he wasn't winning, he was still winning loads because he was Steve Davis, but he wasn't winning as much. I think he mentioned when he won the Masters towards the end when he beat Ronnie.
Yeah.
And he said how he felt going into that game. Again, like we suggested earlier, when you talk to other players, he was like how he would lose his breathing. And this is a book what helped him. And he suggested that. And we thought it would be like an in-out job. If he didn't have to commentate on the half two session, I think we'd have been there all day. We'd probably still be there now.
Huh.
And he was so helpful. I was taken back how much he was there for us. And even now, he messaged Jason when I got to the semis. Amazing by Zach. Well done. I watched it. So yeah, to have someone like that in your corners. We were going to go see him again last year, but it just didn't happen. But I'd love to get out there and have another chat with him.
And I've seen you suggest that you kind of have that voice in your head still sometimes of Steve.
Well, that's another thing because he mentioned he said something he liked to do. It's like commentating on your frames when you're under it. Commentate, get that voice in your head. And I mean, when I'm struggling, I've used that. You're walking around, you're going, yep, just play the red, low black, little cannon and then two reds, and it just takes away the negative thoughts. And you just got Steve Davis in your head talking to you. I said, he's my Yoda.
I love that story because you don't. Obviously, Steve's an absolute legend. That goes without saying, but he almost feels a bit aloof these days from the snooker scene. But
yeah,
that's so nice to hear that he was so passionate about it.
Yeah, well, that's what I just couldn't believe how much time he had for me. I thought he'd been like, all right, Jay, how are you, Zach? Oh, what are you doing? But he put some work in, researched what like the last few weeks while we were talking to him, and he put a lot of time in it. And I just thought, what a top bloke.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you mentioned before, with Robertson, Perry, and Carter, it sounds like you've done a great job of surrounding yourself with just absolute fountains of knowledge of the game in recent years.
No, they're all brilliant. Even I don't know him that well, obviously, know around tournaments, but even Selby, I don't know if he relates, obviously, what he's gone through, but Jason's in like the process of trying to get me a few games with him. And whenever I have a good match on TV, he always messages Jason saying, I watched that, great to see Zach do that. Even at the shootout, he messaged him going, oh, what a break. And I think, how amazing is that? Because I don't really know Mark that well, and I don't think because he knows what the odd event where I've pulled out of, he's obviously like aware. So I don't know if that's why, but it just seemed like it's great of him to even think of me.
Good lads on the snooker tour in general,
Yeah,
aren't
they
they?
are. Yeah, they're all good guys. We all want to beat each other. We all hate each other deep down, but deep down, deeper down, everyone's got a good heart.
So next up for you, of course, World Championship qualifiers. How big on the bucket list of snooker achievements is going to play at the Crucible?
It's the biggest. I know there's a lot of talk of where the World Championship might end up, and I know everyone's got their own sort of thoughts. Oh, like if it goes there and they pay us more money, blah blah blah. And I actually had this conversation the other day. I don't think that any money would change it for me. I think it's playing at the Crucible's number one, even if they didn't pay you. Obviously, we do it to get paid, but that's what you want. You want to walk out of the Crucible. Don't really care if it's worth another 5 or 6 times as much money to qualify elsewhere in the world. It wouldn't be the same, in my opinion.
Yeah, as obviously you're still looking for your first Crucible appearance. Imagine if you qualified for the first time and it was the first year somewhere else. I mean, would that
no, it
be
wouldn't be the
awful?
same. You would take it. You'd have to take it. But yeah, I think it'd be slightly heartbreaking.
And you must be feeling as good as ever about your chances of World Championship qualifying, not having to worry so much about rankings or anything like. Obviously, the great result recently.
Yeah, I'm meant to say yes, aren't I?
Well, no, you meant to answer truthfully, but
No,
I would
it's the
think
truth.
so.
I know quietly. I know I have to be confident. I've just had the best week ever. My life's straight away from the table. Everything's working out brilliantly. I just got to turn up and try and think the same thoughts as what I was thinking when I was playing Tom Ford in the quarterfinals of the World Open. But if that happens, who knows? But that's how I got to think. You are right. That's how I got to go into it.
What are they like, the World Championship qualifiers? Because I think Q School often gets talked about as like complete just Shredsville, but the World Championship qualifiers don't look too far behind that.
Well, that's what I was about to say, but it should be okay for this year because I mean my ranking's safe. I'm on my first year, so there's no relegation faults. But I mean, there's always pressure in there. It's like I should be a horrible person to draw this season because I've got no relegation fears. I'm on the up, but you always find pressure in there because everyone's so desperate to qualify. But yeah, when you're fighting for your space on tour, and I mean, last year was horrendous. Even though I actually pulled it together and I beat Gao Yang to near enough. Well, it was to. This is how mad I am. I won that match, and I was like, happy days. I've topped the 1 year list. I'm very hard to be caught. And I remember I checked into the Crown Plaza as a bit of a treat to myself. I had Neil Robertson the next round, which I knew was going to be a really hard game, obviously. A few from the club drove up, but it was a bit of it should have been like a shot. No, I was safe on tour, playing Neil Robertson. Let's see what happens. And during that, I think I had a day off. During that, like 36 hours, I convinced myself I was back at Q School. I was looking around the room thinking, all right. I remember Dave Liddy come from 9-7 down after getting pulled out. Ben Mertens was 8-3 down. If they both win that, now I could be third on the 1 year list. So and so's going to do that. And now all of a sudden, I'm looking at people ranked 112 getting to the semi final of the World Championship, convincing myself I was off the tour. Well, one of the greatest ever's 3-1, 3 or 4-0 up on me. And I'm thinking, oh God, what have I put myself through here? And that's just well, that's what I'm like, but that's the World Championships for you.
Wow. You know what, Zach? You've been marvellous. I think we're going to wrap up, Phil. But I tell you what, I have just found a couple of questions for when we put out the tweet here, and I want to just maybe get your views on this one. A bit more about Bull Run, Stuart Bingham. I know they practice a lot together. Is it just practice partner? This is a question from Scotty. Or is there some coaching going on there too?
No coaching. He just wants to beat me every time I go near him. Always well done.
Great stuff. Marlon Solomon says, what sort of tunes are you into? What music?
Honest answer. I'm a bit of an all-rounder, but I set my alarm most mornings to Taylor Swift. No better way to wake up in the morning. and I'm not ashamed. I've even got a calendar there. Look.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Did you go to the tour?
I would have done, but I had to go to China instead.
Oh, fair.
Priorities.
Oh, no, there's a headline there. Snooker cost me my Taylor Swift dream.
I was in the hotel room streaming it. I was devastated.
What city's that in the background, putting my travel ahead on that picture? What is that?
I'm not actually sure. I just went for a bit of wall art. I went to the range and bought the cheapest one. I think it's Brooklyn,
Yeah, it looked like it might be actually.
but I've never been.
Oh, I think it might be Brooklyn Bridge. Yeah, now I see a bit more of it. One more for me. Would you class yourself one of those guys that's a snooker fan when you're not playing? Do you watch the game on the telly, or are you like, nah, if I'm not playing, I'm not
I've
that
currently
interested?
got the Players' Championship on. Just thinking, if I won that semi, I could have got final. I would have probably been playing tomorrow. I'm just looking at the carpet, picturing what it would have been like walking around it.
So
But
the answer's yes then.
yeah, no, I am. I do watch a lot of snooker, and I do. Well, I've gone off it a little bit because I struggle to. I put myself in a position, and whenever someone's missed a ball on 65, I get sweaty hands. But yeah, I do watch a lot of snooker. I love it.
Wow, we'd love having you on here. You've been brilliant value, Zach. Thanks so much. You've been so funny, so entertaining. I'm sure everyone will have. I know everyone will enjoy listening as much as we've enjoyed recording. We can't thank you enough,
Thank you.
wish you all the best for world qualifying. Please do come back again and see us again one day.
Thank you. I've actually got a really little nerdy stat for you. I just thought it in the shower earlier.
Okay.
Is this the 201st episode?
It is.
I had 201st maximum.
Oh, lovely.
Wow.
How's that?
That's very good. Sign of the cross for me. I'm a long time.
I'll
I'm a
leave
long
that
time.
one with you. I'll leave that one with you. I thought, it's meant to be.
Wow, that's brilliant. No, I like that. Big fan. That's terrific. Terrific. The 201st episode will stay in the memory, for I have to say.
I'm going to get 201 tattooed on my ankle.
All the best to you, Zach.
All right, nice one. Thank you.
All the best.
Yeah, really appreciate it, Zach. See you soon, mate. Hopefully, we'll see you at the qualifiers.
All right, Judgment Day. We'll see you there.
That's it.
That's the
Cheers,
way.
Zach.
Nice one. Thank you. Bye.
All the best to you, sir. Well, Zak Surety there, Phil. Absolutely terrific value. Now he's still there, so we're going to have to say nice things now until he goes. Then we'll say
Do I just leave? Do I just?
No, I'm being silly. Of course, I say nice thing. You can stay or you can leave. It's totally up to you.
I'll leave and I'll stay here and talk about the Q tour. I'll just get out of it. Okay, I'll work out what I'm doing.
Good man.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you, sir.
See you later.
You've been brilliant. Thank you. But honestly, Phil, no, genuinely, thanks for setting that up because I just thoroughly enjoyed that. So much good value. I had a great old laugh. Thank you for that, setting that up, and thank you to Zach. Brilliant value.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned it once or twice on here when he gets his results mentioned that when I've interviewed him before, I sort of, we said a lot of times we don't have favourites in the game, but I am often rooting for him. And hopefully other people see why, having heard him speak there, because he speaks so open and honestly about the serious things he goes through, but he's so funny as well and entertaining. So yeah, that's why I've always had a soft spot for him ever since I've first spoke to him at that time he came through Q School 2 or 3 years ago. So yeah, no, great guy. And I was pretty sure he'd be a good guest, and hopefully he's delivered right there.
He has. He's brilliant. I think I had a bit of a soft spot for Zach as well, but yeah, probably got even softer now because that was smashing value. The other thing I will say is you said to him, "Oh, now try and keep still because you're on the iPad." I don't think anyone's obeyed an instruction less than Zach there. He was moving out.
It was fine. That was an audio thing that I was worried about, but it sounded all right. So hopefully it was okay. But no, great stuff from Zach.
It was brilliant. Thanks so much to you for setting up. What a brilliant guest. We got a bit more to talk about. We can't be here forever, goodness. But let's give another name check first. So you are listening here to Talking Snooker with Phil Haigh and Nick Metcalf. Phil, the Players' Championship's underway. Now, I was thinking, it's first night. Should we do the video printer? I thought that's like asking David Coleman not to do the video printer. It's never going to happen. Obviously, it's the first night. It's a little taster. What a start, though. I mean, I wrote about it in my latest Sporting Life column. You don't need big nights on tournaments like this to start it. But, I mean, Mark Williams, Ding Junhui and Kyron Wilson, Mark Allen is terrific. The latest I'm seeing is that it's Williams 4-2 and Wilson 4-3. So neither of those decided yet. But it's a cracking start. We've got brilliant matches to come, haven't we? I know we teed it up properly last time, but it's we got a repeat of the Neil Robertson match, of course, coming up against Bingham. Neil having just won that cracking final. I think it's Mark Selby, Seatroy here, isn't it, coming up as well? So just wonderful matches. We can't wait. We're already into it. Arena's looking good in Telford, and what a week!
Yeah, superb tournament. Top 16 on the 1 year ranking list. So. Well, I was going to say everyone in good form, but the vagaries of form with so many tournaments over the calendar. For some people, can be out of form by the time they're getting this after a good start to the season. But yeah, obviously 16 fabulous players, and yeah, like I say, what a stunning start! Wilson, Allen, Williams against Ding, superb. So yeah, we'll be rounding that up properly next week. But great week to come.
Exactly. We've got a little bit of snooker watching possibly still left in this night here. We're recording this on a Monday night, the first night of the tournament. And when we go off the air, we must, though, Phil, talk about the Q Tour Global Playoffs, mustn't we, that are taking place in Turkey, and say that 3 players have won 2-year tour cards. And we say many congratulations to them. Liam Highfield, Stephen Hallworth, and Florian Nuzler. 2 friends of the podcast there. I was saying to you on text, wasn't I? Meatloaf famously insisted that 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So that's okay. In the case of Highfield and Hallworth, it's a return to the tour. For Nuzler, it's something new, something he's been promising for quite a long time. And we are very happy, aren't we, to say the first Austrian to become a professional. So a few more details first, but I know you follow these guys intensely, Phil, and it's brilliant news. I mean, they're all great characters. Each one of these 3 great snooker people, young people, but lots of, lots of miles left on the clock, we hope, still for Liam as well, certainly for Stephen and Florian. They've got potentially lots to do in the game. It's so hard. I'll come to it, actually. They all had pretty good wins in their final match, relatively comfortable. And it's great news for those 3. We'll be fascinated to see how they get on the next 2 years, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I watched a lot of it actually. The streaming was great on the WPUSA YouTube, and yeah, 3. They wouldn't have felt comfortable, even though if the
No.
score lines were relatively comfortable, they would have felt nerve shredding at times. But yeah, they were shorter than they might have been. But yeah, super for Florian Nuzler. It has felt like a long time. He's only 23 still, but he's been so close a number of times to getting on. I know when he narrowly missed out in Q school, Alfie Burden beat him, and Alfie told that story about how he saw him sort of crying in the toilets afterwards, and he almost felt like he'd want to give his tour card to Florian instead. So he's worked really hard. He's a really good player. He showed it in the shootout this season already, didn't he? Had a really good run there, and to beat Andres Petrov, who's been on tour himself already and had some good wins there. 10-3 to Nuzler there. So he looks ready to have a good crack at it as well. He's not just going to be flirting around at the end of the rankings. I'm sure he's going to get some good wins. And then the 2 more recognisable names in terms of having been on tour. Stephen Hallworth beat Mark Joyce 10-5, which was an excellent win because Joyce had already had 147 in his previous match and been looking very strong. And Liam Highfield 10-3 against Julian Boyko. Yeah, just very impressive. Liam Highfield, I saw bits of all 3 of his games there actually, and he just looked more than anyone a cut above this level, really. He was unfortunate to drop off tour. I think he had a wrist injury, didn't he? And just, he hit poor form at the wrong times and was hampered by fitness issues, but he's such a good player. So yeah, we've had Stephen and Liam on. Would love to have Florian on at another time if possible. But congratulations to all 3. Yeah, all still young enough to have bright futures in the game. Liam's the oldest of the 3. I think he's only 34 though. So plenty of time ahead and great great inspiration for anyone in terms of Stephen Hallworth's preparation for this. So if you follow him on social media, he's been around Asia for the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks on his honeymoon, having a lovely old time traveling all over the place. So not doing loads of practice, but just loving life, living it up. And he turned up and played well back on tour. So, if anyone's looking for a tour card, maybe have a little month in Asia enjoying yourself. That might be the answer.
Yeah, I got some quotes from him in a moment saying that he's on top of the world in every way, isn't he? Yeah, no reason why we haven't done Florian on. We might have to correct that. Just happens that we haven't done that yet, but I'm sure he'll be absolutely great value if we do. And he, as you said, had that great win against Andres Petrov. He went 6-3 ahead after the first session, and then sealed the deal in not much more time at all, and did it in style, with a break of 108. He says, "I'm happy and relieved. I'm happy for my family because they are supporting me all the way. And it wouldn't be possible without them. But the biggest part was proving it to myself because I am my harshest critic. I think I held myself together and did the right things at the right moments, which hasn't always been the case. The near misses were definitely on my mind. I've heard all the stories of players not being able to get over the line, and you don't want that kind of feeling to be carried around with you for too long. because it gets heavier and heavier. I hope this will help to elevate Austrian snooker. Well, amen to that. As for Liam Highfield, yeah, beat Julian Boyko 10-3 and really showed his class, as you suggested he did quite a bit throughout the event, really. 5 half centuries to go 7-2 ahead, and then sort of minded his work, got the job done when they resumed for that 10-3 win. He says, I'm over the moon to bounce back within a year. This is from Liam Highfield. It looks really comfortable, but when you're out there, it doesn't feel that way. That's kind of what he was saying. I think I'm back where I belong. I broke my wrist, which was a big setback at the beginning of last season, but I'd got into some bad habits and maybe wasn't working as hard as I should have. I'm a bit older and a bit wiser, and this is the second part of my career now. I've done a lot of learning over the previous 14 years, and hopefully I'll move on to bigger and better things. Could well have another more than that. The way these guys are going now, good 15 years or more still to come. So we'll watch that with interest. And as for Stephen Hallworth, that's the one I watched the most. And actually, that's the one that I say was they all look comfortable. Well, that could have gone 8-6, actually. I mean, the last few there, Mark Joyce must be sick, really, with the way that transpired. Partly, 2 or 3 frames that looked unlosable almost for Joyce that Stephen did so well to come back and win with some brilliant play, some brilliant potting from Hallworth when it really mattered. And just say how emotional they genuinely all were, pretty much all of them. Certainly Stephen fell in that category, I saw some copy that said he was close to tears when he was saying, it's pure relief. The amateur circuit is tough, and there have been moments over the past couple of years where I didn't believe I would ever get back on, but I showed my class today, which was pleasing. I've got a lot going on off the table, and I'm in a really good place in my life. My wife and I have just actually got back from our honeymoon. I would never be one to come out to a tournament without practicing all the hours under the sun. So I was a little bit anxious coming here, but I felt really relaxed and focused, and I fancied the job. And he got the job done, and they're going to be on tour. And I'll tell you who else is going to be on tour, Phil, Julian Boyko, because he has claimed victory. This is today, Monday, in the European Under-21 Championship with a 5-4 win over Oliver Sykes in the final. Another terrific young player. And we must say congratulations to him. He had a disappointment in the event before, but didn't have long to wait. We'll see him on tour.
Yeah. Again, he seems like he's been around for a while. He's only 19 still. He became the youngest ever professional when he got on when he was just 14 years old. Obviously, that was a sort of bruising experience. But I remember, I've not got them in front of me, but I remember him picking up some quite impressive wins towards the end of that. He certainly was improving. And then he spent 2 or 3 years back in the amateur rank. So to come back on now, hopefully with that experience on board, he'll be ready to make an impact. He's super talented. Whenever I see him in anything, it seems more concentration than anything seems to be what's letting him down. He can do all the hard bits and then he'll miss an easy one, which of course, that's a very common problem, especially among younger players. So hopefully he'll be ready to strike. I watched a fair bit of that this morning, actually, 5-4 against Oliver Sykes, who is a very, very good young player as well. Sure he'll get on tour in the nearish future. Very edgy decider. Balls went very funny.
I saw your screenshot. It's what I say so often. That one of the many things I love about this sport, and no doubt we'll see in the tournaments to come. Videos are great, but sometimes you cannot beat a still image. They tell you as much as 100 videos. And there was one where that frame was like, oh God, the balls were so horrible, all in one corner.
Yeah, it seems destined to be like that. Obviously, it was getting very nervy. But actually, Julian actually did quite well to win that in relatively short order from that position. So, yeah, no, big congratulations to him. Obviously, I mean, getting into this, but anyone from Ukraine has had a very difficult time in recent years for many reasons. And he got the Ukrainian flag out as he celebrated with his trophy there. So, snooker is not the forefront of everyone's mind at the time from that country. So, yeah, massive congratulations to him. Looking forward to him duking out on tour again, see where he is in his game now. I'm sure he's going to vastly improve from last time we saw him as a pro.
Good use of duking there. That's a word you don't hear too enough of in life, I find. Now, remind me how Zak rated my pronunciation. It was very, very good, wasn't it? Excellent.
It was very good.
Yeah. Well, let's see if I can keep that going with the winner of the under 16 and under 18 titles from Poland. Mikhail Szubarczyk, I think that's okay, isn't it? Really, and that's you seem quite impressed by that. But we're impressed by him. He looks like a prospect and a half, winning those two titles. So that's great, and the action will continue at that event. And it seems like a big success. Really, I was quite disappointed when we lost that Turkey element to the main tour, weren't you? It was so brief, and it always looked sort of like such a delightful place. I think our sadly now departed friend from the press box, Hector Nuns, was one that went over there. Various other people as well from our WS team. I always remember it because it wasn't that long before the World Championship, I don't think. I think the first time I would have seen various people all still waxing lyrical. Oh, it's brilliant over there. A bit of sunshine, beautiful hotel, lovely, great, fascinating old town. So I was thinking, I might try and do that. And then we sort of got taken away from us. But it's still snooker going on there, which is nice, eh?
Yeah, and it's the same spot as well. It was Antalya, wasn't it? The rank event was there, and that's where this is. So, hopefully that means there's sort of work still going on there because they actually signed quite a long contract for that pro event, but it only lasted 1 year. But yeah, I remember having a very vibrant carpet and an absolutely enormous trophy that Judd Trump picked up.
I've forgotten that carpet.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a good tournament. So yeah, that'd be good if it comes back. But yeah, Michael, yeah, Zubarczyk, I think it's about right. 14 years old, very, very impressive. 14 years old winning the under 16 is impressive, but 14 years old winning the under 18s, that's eye catching. And I think he got to the last 16 of the under 21s, and he's now he's playing in the full event, the European Championship, which is on till Saturday. So I mean, obviously it's up against it to go deep there against in an open age range. But he is certainly one to look out for from Poland. With Florian getting on and Julian coming back on, the range of mainland European snooker is really just great to see. We want to see people popping up from as many places as possible, especially when they've won it through. I don't want to discredit people who've won sort of country or continent specific tournaments that then they get on tour and they can't really cut it. We see that from sort of Africa and North America sometimes, but these guys are genuine prospects who can come and do very well in the game. So yeah, exciting to see, and everyone should be keeping an eye on the young lad from Poland who has clearly got a lot of talent.
Yeah, it's quite amazing that you can be as good as that at such a young age. We see that a number of times. It's one of the beauties of this sport, as we say, that people can be decades apart and still sort of producing the goods. Well, that's it, Phil, in terms of, I think, action on the table, isn't it? So we're just going to continue to follow the Players' Championship. We'll have a little video print to look before we go off air. But I will say that my latest Sporting Life column is live on the website now, focusing on a reborn Neil Robertson and why he could yet become the player of the season. Other big reads there include Neil Foulds on the prospects of us seeing Ronnie O'Sullivan at the World Championship. And I know you'll be extremely busy. I liked your Gary Wilson piece, by the way. Nice line there. I know you'll be very busy in the week to come. And Telford's an interesting venue. It's got quite a bit of snooker history, Was that held the UK? No one ever speaks enormously highly of it. I used to go to Telford football quite a lot back in the day. I always used to like sort of going to Wellington nearby. It's a nice place. Near Shrewsbury. Wellington's a very nice town. Telford's a bit of a harder place to love, but that's where the Snooker Roadshow is now. And it's just going to be sort of great action covered well by ITV. And I was saying, be prepared if you're in the UK for those ITV adverts because they, as much as they cover the snooker marvellously, they're not for the faint of heart, are they? And I was pointing out that I mean, I did get quite a lot of response to it, but the one that always gets me is, it sounds bad really, but there's a couple talking about cremation, but they're talking about it like they're about to go on a sunshine break to Marbella. And I've made my plans. I don't know about you. Beaming smiles. It's like, I can see why they're doing that. It's an advert, but you have to. If you ever need to be reminded of your own mortality, chuck a couple of hours of ITV snooker on. That'll do the job.
Yeah, and it's quite sort of like painfully obvious what commissioners think is the snooker audience as well. It's people very much approaching death. So I don't know how accurate that is, but that's clearly what they think. The people who need to be considering their cremation plans. But no, it's pretty bleak. But otherwise, brilliantly covered tournaments. Yeah, Telford. I don't know a lot about Telford really, other than I knew the UK Championship was hosted there because I remember being at a wedding in Helsinki, and for some reason, this a Finnish man I was talking to said he lived in Telford for a bit, and the only thing I had was, oh, the UK Championship was there. Did you ever go and see it? And he said no, and then that was the end of the conversation because that was all my Telford small talk. But yeah, no, I know the tickets I think have gone quite well there. I remember speaking to someone at the Masters that said it's in good range of bigger places, many other places around there. So yeah, yeah. Sometimes I'm certainly guilty of sort of picking the odd English town, comparing it to like Hong Kong and making it sound not so good. But if it's popular in Telford, then that's great news. So yeah, great tournament to come, and we'll be enjoying it.
Champion of Champions to Leicester that I see.
Oh yes, I did see that. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's interesting. That tournament sort of can't exactly get the most fixed of homes. I always thought it was brilliant in Coventry. I thought that
Mm.
was a marvellous place for it, but I would have thought that could have established itself as brilliant if it stayed there. It's now sort of going around and it's a bit nomadic and doesn't really harm the event because it's a really successful tournament. But sometimes you can lose a bit of lustre if you keep moving about. But we'll see. I know Leicester. I don't know the Leicester Arena. You do, and I know it's a bit of a funny part of Leicester in a way. I think you like a bit. You sort of turn around a corner of an industrial estate and you're there. I think people have always sort of described it, but nevertheless, I think inside it's fairly good, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's sort of walkable. It's in the city centre, so it's just in a slightly odd bit away. You wouldn't walk past it. Um, but yeah, no. I mean, there's a lot of snooker played there because there are a lot, all the Championship League, and that's so much of the calendar. And then they seem to be popping an event, a proper event, televised event, um, there in as well because the players, the Grand Prix was there last year. So then Champions next season. So yeah, maybe I don't know what the arrangement is, but maybe it is that with all that behind closed doors, they have a TV one there as well. So yeah, but I mean, Leicester's nice and central, easy to get to. There are pluses to it for sure.
And I like Leicester. I didn't want to sound a downbeat. No, I'd try and make sure I couldn't go there for the funny enough. Leicester Manchester United game's just gone over the weekend and didn't make it. I often do, and I often like going to that fixture and that city because it's there's a lot going for it. I enjoy seeing the cathedral there and various other bits, walking down the river to the football ground. So Phil, I think I've really enjoyed it. You've cheered me up, actually. I've saying to you, I'm a bit rather under the weather, unfortunately, in recent days. It scuppered my Cheltenham hopes. But got to say, before we go off air, if that's okay, of course, at Cheltenham, no hat trick of Gold Cups for Galopin Deschamps. Instead, I know the way you're thinking claimed victory, but how remarkable and inspiring it was to hear John Hunt commentating on that race for BBC Radio. Quite really so inspirational, and our continuing support and compassion goes to John. And Phil, the way I said about Newcastle, first trophy, the way I sort of put it in time terms was their first pot since Dixon of Dock Green was on the telly. That's going back a while, a long time, beating Liverpool at Wembley 2-1 to win the League Cup. Loads going on in sport as ever, but right now in our snooker, should we go to the video printer and see what's going on in the Players' Championship? I know you'll probably be about 3 frames in front of me knowing you, so I'll have a go and see how I get on. Oh, it's Williams nearly won, hasn't he? 5-2 up against Ding. Well, have you got it on the telly? What's going on there? Is that next frame in progress?
It is. It's just finished. It's 6-2 Williams.
It's 6-2. I knew you'd be in front. Oh, there we are. Williams has got victory. That's a good win, isn't it? I had that down as being a bit closer than that. Ding, of course, beat Mark at the Masters, so that's a cracking success there tonight for Williams. He'll of course be dangerous in the tournament. Looks like Kyron Wilson Allen still going on. Is it 5-3 to Kyron? And
Yes, and it looks like a close ninth. So
ninth frame. So you'll get the result of that, no doubt. I'm looking on our good friends at snooker.org. WST will have it as well, and various other platforms. So enjoy the rest of the tournament. Good win for Mark Williams on the opening night. Loads more great action and drama to come. I really enjoyed your company, Phil, and thank you to Zak Surety. It was marvellous. No doubt I'll see you next time when we'll review this tournament and look ahead to the Tour Championship in Manchester. And when you say that, Sheffield's really close.
yeah, big time. Yeah, yeah. No, pleasure as always. Thanks everyone for listening, and thanks for Zach for coming. And a guest that had done his homework. He knew what number episode this was. That is remarkable. I've never heard the likes from a guest.
That threw me a bit. Yeah, that was quite something. Yeah, that was quite impressive. I thought he was great. What charisma? What laughs we have within brilliant for this episode. Thank you for that, and thank you for your company, everybody. Keep your thoughts coming. We must cover up some correspondence next time. We will do that. TalkingSnooker@yahoo.com or tweet us at TalkingSnooker. I'm pretty sure it's been me and you next week, won't it? Back to the twosome for that one. So that was episode 201. Can't celebrate that so much, Phil, but it's in the books. And we'll say thanks for being there, everybody. We'll see you next time. And from your old friends, Phil Haig and Nick Metcalf, cheerio.